You live in a neighborhood where despair piles higher than rooftops. Around here, people don't live, they just try not to die. Home is a shack with a corrugated tin roof you share. You live with your mom and your little sister in poverty. Your old man is gone now and he's never coming back. Collateral damage in a gang war he didn't even know about. That leaves mom as the only thing keeping walls from caving. To make sure you and your sister have a future ahead, she grinds 20 hours a day until she's running on empty. You're the star student hitting the books with one goal only. You want to become a politician, not for the power itself. You want to fix this broken system and give family dignity. But the universe has a twisted sense of humor with you. Out of nowhere, mom gets hit with a major illness. Suddenly, the local clinic doc says she needs surgery and needs it. She needs it yesterday, and the price tag is 5,000. 5,000 pesos is what rich suits drop on wine bottles. But to you, that number is astronomical and completely unreachable now. It's the absolute wall between life and a funeral for mom. You try to hit up the neighbors for a loan desperately. But in this zip code, trying to get cash is impossible. Everyone's broke and the few who aren't don't trust you. They don't trust a 14-year-old kid with a dime. So you drop out of school and start humping crates immediately. You work at the central market and your spine is screaming. You carry loads that weigh more than you do every single day. At the end of the day, they hand you a measly 100. You rush home dying to show mom the cash you earned. Only to find her out cold and her clock is ticking. You beg your boss for an advance, but he laughs hard. In his world, empathy is just a bad investment that costs. In total desperation, you spot a flyer on a lamppost. Instant cash, no credit, no questions asked at all, it says. It's your only move left in this desperate situation now. You head to the address, which is a smoke-filled room. The loan shark flashes a shark-tooth grin at you wickedly. He offers the 5,000 pesos with 50% weekly interest. You read the fine print of the verbal contract he gives. No house for collateral, but no problem. He says calmly now. They'll just take your biological assets if you don't pay back. If you don't pay, they collect a kidney or a cornea. The good news is they let you choose which one stays. You sign your soul over to the devil right there tonight. You pay for the surgery and the docs do their thing. But mom's body just quits and she dies that same night. But grief is a luxury the poor can't afford at all. Before you can even cry, the first payment is due now. You're short on cash and the collectors don't offer condolences here. They offer a beatdown that leaves you spitting teeth on concrete. Then comes the ultimatum that changes everything for you forever now. You have 1 week to pay the principal plus interest rate, or they take your little sister as final payment for debt. She'll be sold into a human trafficking ring immediately after that, just when you're about to sell your soul to lowest bidder. A stranger slides up with a job offer out of nowhere. No resume required, and no references needed from you at all. All he wants is someone small fast and flat out desperate now. 1 week's pay is enough to clear your debt completely here. Since you've lived here your whole life, you know the job. Smuggling gear across the border is what they want from you. If you're lucky, you get paid, but if not, you die. You end up as an anonymous skeleton in the desert forever. You tell yourself the oldest lie in the criminal handbook now. Just this once, you think, and then you're done forever after. In theory, the gig is simple and you're just a mule. The operations manager takes you to the mouth of a cave. The hole is so tight only a malnourished kid fits through. For the first time in your life, hunger gives you advantage. They strap a backpack to you and explain the mission clearly. Your mission is crawl through the pitch black following marked rocks. You pop out on the other side of the border quickly. There's a surveillance tower looming in the distance, watching everything around. You creep through the brush, paralyzed with fear inside your chest. Every twig that snaps sounds like a 12-gauge blast nearby. You trek 3 miles until you find a specific dead tree. That's the drop-off point where you dump the package fast. You vanish immediately, and no one sees you at all tonight. No one greets you because you're a logistics ghost now here. The gig turns out to be suspiciously easy for you, surprisingly. For 7 days, you're dodging border patrol like a pro. You stack the cash and you clear the debt completely now. The loan sharks bounce and your sister is safe, finally tonight. You're feeling like the protagonist of a gritty action flick now. Full of pride and relief, you head over to the middleman. You want to put in your 2 weeks' notice immediately today. You tell him it was a pleasure doing business with them, but you're going back to the straight and narrow path. You honestly think this is just a summer job you're quitting, like driving for DoorDash where you can just log off. But the recruiter gives you this fatherly smile that chills bones. He pulls out a phone and shows you a pic clearly. It's from this morning, showing your sister walking into school, smiling. She's totally clueless walking into school without a care in world. He calmly explains the organization's HR policy to you right now. See, in this industry, there's no such thing as voluntary resignation. You've got talent, kid, and wasting talent is a fireable offense. Literally, a fireable offense, he says, staring into your eyes coldly. You know too much now about the roots, the faces, the system. You're not a temp anymore in their eyes at all tonight. You're a fixed asset on the company's balance sheet permanently now. The new job offer is simple and completely non-negotiable here. Keep working for them indefinitely for the rest of your life. Or your sister has a tragic accident on her way home. That's when the reality check hits harder than a freight train. You realize your success didn't buy your freedom at all tonight. If anything, you just proved you're too profitable to be free. You paid off the debt but signed a lifetime contract instead. Turns out there's no unsubscribe button in hell at all ever. 3 months later, the cave route collapses both metaphorically and literally. The feds busted during some other kid's shift and caught him. He ends up in juvie, but you survive by pure luck. Management notices you've got something the other kids lack completely now. You've got a brain, and they decide you're too valuable. They decide you're too valuable to spend life crawling through dirt. You get promoted immediately, and you get a burner phone too. You get a strategic vantage point and a shiny new title. You're now a falcon, and your job is being the eyes. Your job is to be the cartel's eyes and ears everywhere. For your average street kid, this is boring work watching roads. But you're not average at all and never have been. You apply the same focus that earned you straight A's before. You map out federal patrol patterns with precision and detail now. You spot unmarked cars by the specific wear on their tires. And you build alert codes that no one else can crack. Your efficiency skyrockets by 200% in weeks' time only. The local plaza boss calls you in personally one afternoon soon. He hands you a fat cash bonus and says 3 words. "Good job, son," he says, looking at you with pride clearly. Those words hit you harder than any street drug ever could. Since your mom passed, no one has told you your worth. No one has looked at you with respect like this before. Suddenly, the blood money is buying your sister clean sneakers now. It's putting hot meals on the table every single night. You start to rationalize the hustle and tell yourself lies. You tell yourself you're a provider, a protector, a businessman here. The fear evaporates, replaced by something way more toxic than before. Pride fills your chest, and you're starting to love the game. It all goes down on a stormy night without any warning. The rival crew decides to launch a hostile takeover of turf. They use high-caliber lead instead of high-priced lawyers tonight. You and your sister get caught in the crossfire going home. You try to shield her with your body desperately right now. But the laws of physics are cold and bullets don't care. A stray round fired by some idiot who wasn't even aiming. It rips right through your sister's chest and she gasps once. Time hits the brakes and the sound of rain blurs everything. The sound of rain blurs with screams and sirens around you. You're frozen, kneeling in the blood-soaked mud, staring down now. You're staring into her empty eyes and your brain just unplugs. You're waiting for the mercy shot to end this pain. You want to die, but death rejects you completely tonight here. A crewmate drags you by the collar out of fire. Just seconds before a grenade turns your spot into a crater. You survive, but the kid who wanted to be politician died. He died on that sidewalk in the rain with your sister. You spend 3 days staring at a wall in total silence. When you finally stand up, you aren't an employee looking for approval. The sadness has evaporated, replaced by a solid block of ice. You swear on her grave that you won't seek justice ever. Justice is a luxury for the 1%, not for you. You're looking for vengeance, and you won't stop until they're gone. You won't stop until you've wiped their entire bloodline off Earth. You decide that if you're going to be a monster anyway, you might as well be the smartest one in the room. You study the art of war with the same grind before. The same grind you used for your high school midterm studying. Your rise is meteoric and fast like a rocket shooting up. In 2 years, you're a regional manager controlling entire territories now. By 30, you're the youngest deputy director in the history here. In the legal corporate world, you'd need an MBA and years. You'd need 20 years of bootlicking to get that corner office. Here, job openings happen every time someone catches a bullet clean. It's a brutally efficient meritocracy based on results and fear. When the old boss drops dead from a heart attack suddenly, All hell breaks loose, and the other lieutenants choose violence immediately. They choose brainless violence, but you choose politics instead of guns. You understand a fundamental truth that they don't see at all. Bullets kill people, but politics kills entire organizations from inside completely. Instead of buying more hardware, you buy a presidential candidate instead. You find a politician with sky-high ambition and zero morals. And you make him an investment offer he can't refuse tonight. You bankroll his campaign with unlimited dark money flowing in constantly. And in return, he hands you the keys to kingdom immediately. The second he wins the election, you own the country now. It's the perfect symbiosis between organized crime and legalized crime here. With power on your side, you kick off your own campaign. You use blood money to build schools, hospitals, and pave streets. You build them in your old neighborhood where you grew up. People start calling you a savior and a hero of community. You open a clinic named after your late mother with pride. You tell yourself you're finally living the dream of helping poor. But deep down, a voice whispers the truth you can't ignore. You aren't helping anyone at all with these buildings here. You're just buying cheap loyalty and laundering your conscience with bricks. You finally become the politician you dreamed of being as kid. Except your mandate is built on bodies instead of ballots now. With political power in one hand and military muscle in other. Wiping out the competition stops being a war completely now. It turns into a simple administrative task you complete easily overnight. You ascend to the throne, and you're the CEO of crime. Now the big boss and your first executive order is personal. The crew that murdered your sister doesn't get a day in court. Some accidentally catch a bullet during routine police stops on streets. Others just evaporate inside max security prisons without a trace ever. It's cold, calculated revenge, ironically funded by the taxpayers you protect. You keep your end of the business deal with the politician. Your political puppet wins the election just like you planned perfectly. Now you got the actual president of the nation on payroll. He's your most expensive employee, but damn, he's efficient at work. With total immunity, you start playing God with people's lives here. You use the dirty cash to build state-of-art facilities. You build schools, parks, and hospitals in your old stomping grounds. The public worships you, and they call you the benefactor now. Technically, you're living your childhood dream of helping the poor finally. But every night, staring at your empire from bulletproof balcony alone. One doubt eats you alive and keeps you awake at night. Are you building these hospitals out of the kindness of heart? Or are you just erecting massive monuments to drown out guilt? The guilt of becoming the exact same monster who killed father. You're a saint standing on a mountain of bones you created. Right when you think you've officially won the game completely now. You get the world's most brutal pink slip without any warning. A massive military task force surrounds your estate with weapons ready. The president decided you're a loose end that needs snipping clean. He sold you out to polish his international image with allies, but he made a rookie mistake that will cost him dearly. He forgot that in the criminal underworld, loyalty is a myth, but blackmail is a guarantee. You've always kept receipts of everything. You were always 2 steps ahead, planning for this exact moment. For years, you kept the receipts recording every meeting, every bribe. Recording every dirty handshake with politicians and corrupt officials everywhere now. You don't go out with empty hands at all tonight here. Before you ghost, you trigger your insurance policy. You built carefully. You leak terabytes of documents, videos, and audio clips to press. You leak them to the international press, proving the government truth. Proving the government is in reality just a wholly owned subsidiary. A wholly owned subsidiary of your cartel and nothing more really. The scandal goes nuclear and spreads across every news channel worldwide. The president goes from the palace to a federal cell fast. He goes from the palace to federal cell in under hours. But for you, seeing him behind bars isn't enough at all. Treason is paid for in blood, not in prison time. You send one final order to your last loyalists inside system. The ex-president has a tragic accident in the prison showers, with the country burning in the political chaos you created everywhere. And your enemies in the ground, you feel like a genius. You head for the coast with 100 million in cash. You have a fake passport ready to take your golden parachute. Ready to disappear into retirement in Europe, living in peace finally. You honestly believe you're the architect of your own destiny now. You pull up to the pier in the pouring rain, waiting for the boat that was supposed to be your ticket to a fresh start in Europe, far away forever. But instead of a captain, you're greeted by a tactical squad. It wasn't the surveillance drones or the satellites that tracked you. It was an inside leak from someone you trusted with life. Out of the shadows steps your right-hand man clearly now, the protege you raised like your own son for years here. He looks at you with zero remorse in his cold eyes. He's already cut a deal with the new administration in power. You're just the peace offering now, the toxic asset being liquidated. The toxic asset that needs to be liquidated for new regime. In the boardroom, they call it restructuring, but on streets different. On the streets, it's just a knife in the back plane. The trial is a televised media circus, but the verdict predetermined. The verdict was signed, sealed, and delivered before you walked in. Capital punishment they announce, and the crowd cheers for your death. As you're strapped to the gurney, that cold needle pricks skin. Time starts to fracture and your life hits the rewind button. You see the skyscrapers you built crumble into dust, disappearing fast. You see your enemies rise from the grave, coming back alive. You see the blood flow back into your sister's veins, reversing. Suddenly, you're 14 again, standing in front of that flyer board. You're standing in front of that loan shark flyer, heartbroken and broke. You wonder what would have happened if you'd taken different path. You wonder at what exact moment the kid wanting to save, the kid who wanted to save his neighborhood, turned into the monster that burned it down to ashes completely. And as the darkness swallows you whole and everything fades away, the final irony hits home harder than anything before in life. This entire empire, all this death, all this agony and pain. It was just the accrued interest on a 5,000 peso debt.